Good evening and welcome to Market Mantra. I'm Arjun Chaudhary and with me is my co-anchor in Hindi Amrish Saxena.
नमस्कार। मार्केट मंत्र कार्यक्रम के साथ हम हाजिर हैं और इस कार्यक्रम में आपका स्वागत है और अब आइए सुनते हैं पहले मुख्य समाचार।
Benchmark domestic stock market indices end on a mixed note. Sensex gains over 100 points, Nifty settles below 24,400. Parliament passes a Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2026 to create a uniform and balanced fiscal framework for the mineral sector. And global crude oil prices fall.
घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में आज मिला जुला रुख रहा। सेंसेक्स ने 100 अंकों की बढ़त दर्ज की। निफ्टी 24,400 के नीचे बंद हुआ। संसद ने खनिज क्षेत्र के लिए एक समान और संतुलित वित्तीय ढांचा बनाने के लिए खान और खनिज विकास और विनियमन संशोधन विधेयक 2026 पारित किया और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजारों में कच्चे तेल के दाम गिरे। और हम आज की खबरों पर चर्चा के लिए मौजूद हैं वरिष्ठ अर्थशास्त्री डॉक्टर एसपी शर्मा। डॉक्टर शर्मा, कार्यक्रम में आपका स्वागत है।
जी शुक्रिया।
और चलते हैं आज की पहली खबर की ओर। घरेलू शेयर बाजार आज मिले जुले रुख के साथ बंद हुए। बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स 114 अंक बढ़कर 78,080 पर बंद हुआ। उधर नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का निफ्टी 40 अंक यानी 0.16% गिरकर 24,396 पर बंद हुआ। विस्तारित बाजार में नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के मिड कैप 100 इंडेक्स में 0.1% से अधिक की बढ़त हुई और स्मॉल कैप 100 इंडेक्स 0.3% बढ़ा। दिन के कारोबार के दौरान सेंसेक्स सुस्त रहा। हालांकि क्लोजिंग ऑक्शन सेशन एडजस्टमेंट के बाद इसने अपनी गिरावट की भरपाई की और बढ़त के साथ बंद हुआ। सेंसेक्स के फ्यूचर्स और ऑप्शंस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स की साप्ताहिक एक्सपायरी ने भी उतार चढ़ाव को बढ़ाया। इसके विपरीत भू राजनीतिक अनिश्चितताओं के बीच निफ्टी पूरे सत्र के दौरान नकारात्मक दायरे में रहा।
We'd also like to remind our listeners on a disclaimer before we move on to the headline stories. The views and opinions expressed by the experts in this program are their own and not those of Akashvani. Akashvani advises its listeners to do their own research or consult a registered professional before taking any investment decision. We further advise all listeners to exercise due diligence and rely on their own judgment for taking any financial decision. And let's continue with the detailed stock story. In the Sensex pack, 19 out of the 30 companies registered gains. The benchmark domestic equity indices end on a mixed note today. Sensex registered a gain of 114 points to close at 78,080. Nifty declined 40 points or 0.16% to settle at 24,396. In the broader market on the NSE, the mid-cap 100 index gained over 0.1% and the small-cap 100 index rose 0.3%. Sensex traded on a subdued note during the intraday trade. However, it erased its losses and closed higher following the closing auction session adjustment. The weekly expiry of the futures and options contracts of Sensex also added to the volatility. Conversely, Nifty remained in the negative zone throughout the session amid lingering geopolitical uncertainties.
सेंसेक्स में शामिल 30 में से 19 कंपनियों के शेयरों में बढ़त देखी गई। सबसे अच्छा प्रदर्शन करने वाली कंपनियों में इंडिगो 2.8%, एनटीपीसी और भारत इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स लिमिटेड में 2% और लार्सन एंड टूब्रो में 1.9% से अधिक की वृद्धि हुई। वहीं दूसरी ओर आईसीआईसीआई बैंक में 1.3% की गिरावट आई। टाइटन 1% गिरा और रिलायंस में 0.8% की गिरावट आई।
And In the sectoral indices on the Bombay Stock Exchange, 17 out of the 28 sectors ended in the positive zone. Among the top gainers, telecom as well as FMCG added 1%, realty rose 1.5% and services gained 0.8%. In contrast, metal declined nearly 1%, commodities as well as insurance shed 0.5% and top 10 banks fell 0.2%. The overall market breadth at the BSE was positive, as shares of 2,192 companies advanced, 2,127 companies declined and 226 companies remain unchanged.
और अंतर बैंकिंग विदेशी मुद्रा बाजार में रुपया आज $1 की तुलना में 10 पैसे गिरकर 95 रुपए 44 पैसे पर बंद हुआ। डॉक्टर शर्मा, शेयर बाजार का हाल हमने आज देखा और जिस तरह का उतार चढ़ाव रहा और सेंसेक्स ने और निफ्टी ने अलग अलग प्रदर्शन किया, आप क्या कहेंगे?
जी बिल्कुल, काफी जो वॉलेटिलिटी हम देख रहे हैं मार्केट में, मुख्य कारण तो कंसोलिडेशन है कि मार्केट्स अभी कंसोलिडेशन मोड में है, अनसर्टेनिटी है, कोई डायरेक्शन मार्केट को अभी नहीं मिल रही है क्योंकि जो जियोपॉलिटिक्स है, जो ईरान और यूएस में जो युद्ध है वो किसी भी शेप में जाता हुआ नहीं दिखाई दे रहा। कई बार आपको लगेगा कि शायद अब पीस हो रही है, कई बार लगेगा कि युद्ध बहुत ही गहराने के मुकाम पे पहुंच चुका है। तो उसी के संदर्भ में जो मार्केट्स हैं वो कुछ भी डायरेक्शन लेने से वंचित हैं। फिर भी फंडामेंटल्स, जब कोई बहुत बड़ी न्यूज आती है तो मार्केट्स एकदम से बहुत रिबाउंड करती हैं, जिसे हमें ये लगता है कि जब अगर पीस हो जाती है, अगर यूएस और ईरान में पीस हो जाता है तो मार्केट्स में एक स्ट्रांग रिबाउंड की पॉसिबिलिटी बहुत जोरदार है, बहुत ही मजबूत है, क्योंकि जैसे हल्की सी बात से ही मार्केट्स बहुत स्ट्रांगली रिबाउंड करती हैं। लेकिन जो हमारा जो एक फंडामेंटल जो एक ट्रैजेक्टरी है, चाहे वो इन्फ्लेशन है या फिर हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स हैं या फिर हमारा ग्रोथ ऑफ आईआईपी है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, all are in the positive trajectory and moving in the right direction. Overall जो हमारी मार्केट्स की स्थिति है वो काफी मजबूत है, but with a volatile scenario.
Dr. Sharma spoke about the fundamentals. The quarterly results are being declared right now, the earnings of companies, and we've seen bellwether companies do very well as well in terms of their net profitability and revenue. We saw heavy buying by DIIs today to the tune of 4,353 crore rupees. They were the net buyers in the market today. What were the principal reasons for that type of stimulus buying? Because if you look at the FIIs, they are on the margin right now. They're net sellers of 511 crore rupees. And even on the economic front, which we will go into some detail later in this program, their growth, especially with G7 countries, is not that great. And a lot of these hedge fund investors are still seeing India as the right alternative for the investments.
Yes, Arjun. Firstly, why the FIIs are not that much strong? That is the major reason, because they are observing the volatility in the global markets. Sometimes they invest in other country where there some scope is coming with the deceleration in the market, and then again they look at India when there is some correction in the market, great correction. So they are taking advantage of many markets in the global ecosystem. But our DIIs are very much confident. They are providing a balancing act to the market. They invest very strongly when there is a correction, and their investments are more stable as compared with FIIs, as they are more confident about the Indian market. They are not in a speculative spree. They are investing in the fundamentals of a great growth story. So that is the difference between the DIIs and FIIs. FIIs are always volatile. Since the last many decades, their movement is always volatile, but our retail participation again is very strong, and they are providing a good support to the market at various junctures. When there is correction, they come forward for buying the good stocks. So going forward, I believe our market will be majorly driven by our DIIs and our retail segment.
Dr. Sharma, the closing auction session adjustment has also taken place, and I know that you understand the derivatives market quite well. We have been discussing the cash market all this time. What does the weekly expiry of the futures and options contracts telling you about the premium levels of the contracts that the investors are looking to get into when they try to make a projection of how the cash market is going to perform in the coming week and in the coming month?
Yes, this is, I believe, the actual story of the derivatives in the Nifty or the other stocks. And I would say the recent development that is taking place, that is providing the more stability to the contracts. And I am observing some stability in the minds of the investors also. They are not that much speculative about the market movement. They are behaving in a balanced approach because the premium level has come down significantly. And this is providing a great room for the actual hedgers to provide a support to their cash market. So I believe this is a great development. I really appreciate this movement by the regulator that now speculation is coming down, and that will be the scenario of the losses in the F&O segment by the retailers, which I observed during the last many years. They were in a speculative spree and getting some losses also. But now that trajectory is expected to be balanced with such a development which has taken place.
और डॉक्टर शर्मा, अगर हम क्षेत्रों की सेक्टर्स की बात करें तो खासतौर से आईटी या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के जो शेयर हैं उन्होंने अच्छा प्रदर्शन किया और काफी हद तक बाजार को संभालने में मदद की। और आप जो अलग अलग सेक्टर्स की परफॉर्मेंस को लेके क्या जानकारी देना चाहेंगे?
देखिए, जो हमारे सेक्टर्स हैं, जो चाहे वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के स्टॉक्स हों या फिर एनर्जी के स्टॉक हों या फिर बैंकिंग के हो या फिर फार्मास्यूटिकल और आयरन एंड स्टील, सभी का योगदान जो है हमारी जो ग्रोथ है, हमारा जो लक्ष्य है, जो हम आगे तय करने जा रहे हैं विकसित भारत की तरफ, जो हमें एक अच्छा रोड डेवलपमेंट चाहिए, एक अच्छी स्ट्रांग, हमें एक एनर्जी सिनेरियो हमारा बहुत स्ट्रांग होना चाहिए, हमारा बैंकिंग प्रणाली बहुत स्ट्रांग होना चाहिए। तो इन्हीं के संदर्भ में हमारे ये जो लगभग कोई 10 से 12 सेक्टर्स हैं, ये बहुत मजबूती के साथ आगे बढ़ते हैं। लेकिन ये जरूर है कि जब कोई इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में करेक्शन आती है तो इनके ऊपर भी उसका दबाव आता है, क्योंकि जब सेलिंग होती है दैट क्रिएट्स समटाइम पैनिक इन द माइंड्स ऑफ द रिटेलर्स। लेकिन उसमें हमारा रिटेलर भी अभी धीरे धीरे बहुत समझदार होता जा रहा है कि वो उतनी पैनिक अवस्था में नहीं आता। आप देखो कि पीछे कितने महीनों से, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम फरवरी टू 9 अगस्त, 6 महीनों से हम देख रहे हैं कि मार्केट में बहुत उथल पुथल है, लेकिन मार्केट फिर भी एक रेंज बाउंड सिचुएशन में है। मार्केट ने वो करेक्शन जो एक बहुत ही ऐसी करेक्शन होती है जो कि बहुत डीप जाती है और कई बार प्रभावित करती है, वो ऐसी करेक्शन हमने नहीं देखी। मार्केट हमेशा स्टेबल रहती है। अगर 2 दिन मार्केट डिसेलरेट करती है तो उसके बाद 2 दिन आगे बढ़ भी जाती है, उतनी बढ़त वापस हासिल कर लेती है।
Dr. Sharma, we've seen that Nifty Bank has been quite bullish, but today there was a correction of 250 points in the banking sector, which includes private sector banks and public sector banks. Is this just profit booking today, or is there any development?
No, I see this is profit booking only. There is no such development that is providing correction opportunities. But this always happens when the investor shifts from some stocks to the other stock. When they book profit in the profitable ventures or the sectors, then they enter in the other sector. That is the churning aspect of the market. So I would say this is the positive development that they are making profits and shifting to the other sectors also.
Well, that was our discussion on the stock market. Let's move on to some more news. Parliament has passed the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2026 with the Rajya Sabha approving it today. Union Coal and Mines Minister G. Kishan Reddy moved the bill to further amend the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957. More from our correspondent.
The Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2026 aims to make India's mining sector more efficient, investment-friendly and well-equipped to fulfill the country's growing demand for critical minerals. The centre, through the bill, also seeks to take under its control the regulation of mineral-bearing lands having mineral contents in accordance with the parameters prescribed under the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation MMDR Act. The government has ensured transparency transparency and conducted auctions to manage these mining resources properly. The minerals are national assets essential for the country's development, and the government has worked with dedication in the national interest. In 2014-15, state governments received 65% of mineral revenues, while the share has now increased to 85%. Unpermished for Market Mantra.
Well, Dr. Sharma, this law, which is giving effect to how the mining sector actually develops in the country and how the auctioning process takes place to develop those parts of the country where extraction is possible in a healthy manner. It also has a low carbon footprint. What do you have to say about the metal sector and rare earths? Because we saw in the market today, for instance, that prices have been quite volatile internationally. In the stock market, that obviously is a reaction to it in terms of their valuation. But more importantly, when it comes to consumption, how do you see this sector picking up?
Yes, Arjun, because this act was very essential as we are observing some monopolistic powers at the global level and their vested interest to monopolize the natural resources. So at this juncture, these reforms at the domestic level with the various reforms are very much needed to move forward as our.
We need rare earths also.
Yes, we need rare earths also, and global powers are in a monopolistic spree. So I believe this will provide a great confidence to our industry sector to move forward as they will feel the positivity, and they will feel that there will not be any scarcity in the coming times from the such kind of deficiencies in the such kind of needs.
जी, और आइए जान लेते हैं केंद्रीय कोयला और खान मंत्री किशन रेड्डी ने क्या कहा। उनका कहना है कि खान और खनिज विकास और विनियमन संशोधन विधेयक किसी भी राज्य के अधिकार नहीं छीनेगा और न ही किसी राज्य के कोयला और खान सेक्टर के राजस्व पर कोई असर डालेगा। नई दिल्ली में एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस को संबोधित करते हुए उन्होंने कहा कि इस विधेयक का मकसद मुख्य खनिजों का उत्पादन बढ़ाना है। उन्होंने कहा कि केंद्र सरकार होल ऑफ गवर्नमेंट अप्रोच, सरकार के सभी विभागों के साथ मिलकर काम करने के तरीके के जरिए माइनिंग सेक्टर में निवेश और रोजगार बढ़ाने के लिए काम कर रही है।
In more news, country's total exports, including merchandise and services, are estimated at $80.14 billion in July this year, registering a robust 13.3% year-on-year growth. According to the provisional data released by the Commerce Ministry, the export performance was led by merchandise shipments, which jumped over 19.6% to $44.24 billion from a year earlier. The growth in merchandise exports was driven by petroleum products, electronic goods, engineering goods, organic and inorganic chemicals, cotton yarn and handloom products. The country's merchandise trade deficit was widened by 31.5% year-on-year to $15 billion last month. Cumulatively, the merchandise exports during April to July period of the current financial year are estimated at $173.78 billion, registering an increase of 17% on an annual basis. Dr. Sharma, while our manufacturing has picked up, which is leading to export of merchandise shipments, coupled with the legal structure that the government has put in place in the form of free trade agreements and bilateral agreements, it is still being challenged by high commodity prices, because that is eating into our imports and the trade deficit in a big way. How do you see this being course corrected in the future?
Yes, Arjun, this is a great development that we are observing 20% increase in the merchandise exports, that too in the volatile scenario at the global level and decelerating demand in many countries. So this is the effect of our diversification, and our Make in India is now becoming strongly visible, that we are able to post our strong export numbers and diversification. Like we are diversifying our products in many markets. Like we are not that much dependent on the US economy now. We have another great markets like in Europe, in the Latin America, in Middle East also, and in Asian countries. So going forward, I believe as our Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry said, that we will be able to achieve $1 1 trillion exports in the current year, that the story is expected to come true, as our exports are significantly growing in the merchandise segment as well as in the services segment, and the overall growth is in the double digits for the many months, and this is for the April to July. 17% growth is, I believe we are the fastest growing export economy also among the major economies. So I believe this will provide a great support to the sentiments of our producers and the manufacturers to move forward and to become more and more strong in the global export trajectory.
In more news, Vice Chairperson of Niti Aayog, Ashok Kumar Lahiri, today released a report titled Key Sectors to Position India as a Global Manufacturing Hub. The report highlights 12 priority sectors that hold strong potential for the global competitiveness, local value addition, job creation, and deeper integration into the global supply chains. It also lays down a strategic roadmap to strengthen India's manufacturing ecosystem and support the vision of Viksit Bharat. The 12 key sectors shortlisted in the report are automobiles, electronics, steel, capital goods, defense and drones, chemicals, solar, PV, textiles, pharmaceuticals and medical devices, telecom, equipment, leather and footwear, and food processing. You mentioned about services earlier in our exports story, the growth of exports. Now we have a story from Niti Aayog where they're talking about India being a manufacturing hub and also a center for job creation. Just your brief comments about the 12 sectors.
Yes, Arjun, because I was there at the time of unveiling of this report in the Niti Aayog. So this is, I believe, our manufacturing story is becoming now strong, as last year also we posted a double-digit number in our manufacturing growth. So this year also our IIP numbers are very strong, and going forward we will be faster than China. I was comparing some data at the global level, at the manufacturing value added in the post-COVID years. So we are above China. We are above 2 percentage point as compared with the global manufacturing growth, and significantly higher than the China's manufacturing.
Is it because of PLI?
Yes, PLI and many reforms under the Make in India and Ease of Doing Business reforms undertaken by the government during the last many years. So now these reforms are becoming visible at the ground level and providing a great support to our manufacturing as well as our export trajectory in the merchandise segment.
और चलते हैं एशिया के बाजारों का हाल जान लेते हैं। एशियाई बाजारों में दक्षिण कोरिया के कोस्पी इंडेक्स में लगभग 3.6% और जापान के निकेई सूचकांक में लगभग 1.2% की बढ़त दर्ज की गई। यूरोप के प्रमुख शेयर बाजारों में अंतर्दिवसीय कारोबार में अंतिम समाचार मिलने तक जर्मनी का डेक्स 0.4% ऊपर कारोबार कर रहा था, जबकि लंदन के फुट्सी 100 में 0.3% की गिरावट चल रही थी। और आर्थिक मोर्चे पर यूके की वास्तविक सकल घरेलू उत्पाद जीडीपी के इस साल अप्रैल-जून तिमाही में 0.4% बढ़ने का अनुमान है। इस बीच ऑफिस फॉर नेशनल स्टैटिस्टिक्स द्वारा आज जारी जीडीपी आंकड़ों के अनुसार पिछले महीने कोई वृद्धि न होने के बाद जून में जीडीपी में 0.3% की वृद्धि हुई। आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे डॉक्टर शर्मा, जिस तरह का यूरोप से जो खबरें आई और यूके की जो आर्थिक स्थिति के बारे में?
देखिए, उनका जो स्थिति है वो दे आर नॉट दैट मच इकोनॉमिकली स्ट्रांग। उनकी जो इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ है काफी इम्पेक्टेड है। खाली यूएस को छोड़ के बाकी सभी जो एडवांस्ड इकोनॉमीज हैं लगभग कोई 1% या उससे भी कहीं नीचे पे ग्रो कर रहे हैं। उसी में यूरोप है। तो एक तो डिमांड की काफी जो प्रॉब्लम है बिकॉज ऑफ द जियोपॉलिटिकल डेवलपमेंट्स और सम अदर फैक्टर्स। तो मैं समझता हूं कि आने वाले टाइम में जो एक सपोर्ट की जरूरत है जो उन कंट्रीज में एक डिमांड जनरेट करने की, दैट्स व्हाई दे आर इन द ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट्स ऑल्सो। हमने भी जो ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट साइन किए हैं, वी विल प्रोवाइड सो मेनी थिंग्स, गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज एट वेरी कंपेटिटिव कॉस्ट। तो उनका एक बहुत अच्छा एडवांटेज मिलेगा और हमें भी बड़ी अच्छी मार्केट्स मिल रही हैं। लगभग जो हमने 8 या फिर 9 अगर यूएस को मिला के कहें तो फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट जो हम साइन किए हैं उनमें 38 कंट्रीज आते हैं, जिसमें से 37 जो है वो एडवांस्ड इकोनॉमीज हैं। और इनके साथ हमारा आने वाले टाइम में, जैसे अर्जुन ने भी बात की कि कैसे हमारा जो एफटीए जो सेगमेंट है वो अभी जो आगे कैसे इस चीज में हमारा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ग्रो कर रहा है, एक्सपोर्ट्स अच्छे ग्रो कर रहे हैं, तो एक बहुत बड़ा एडवांटेज है। और ये एफटीए हमारा लगभग कोई 40% ऑफ टोटल ट्रेड एड्रेस करते हैं। तो मैं समझता हूं कि आने वाले टाइम में हमारे जो ट्रेड है, खासकर एक्सपोर्ट्स को और गति मिलेगी।
Moving on to more news from the US stock markets now. Wall Street ended on a positive note yesterday, supported by technology stocks. Nasdaq Composite Index gained 0.5% and the S&P 500 rose 0.3%. Meanwhile, the Dow Jones Industrial Average remained largely unchanged. On the economic front, the Consumer Price Index dipped to 3.4% in July year-on-year as compared to 3.5% in June. According to the data released by the US Department of Labor, the core inflation rate stood at 2.5% last month. Investors breathed a sigh of relief after headline inflation came in line with market expectations. The data has eased concerns over an immediate rate hike by the US Fed Reserve at its upcoming meeting. The discount rate, the primary credit rate in the US is 3.75%. It's left unchanged. But CPI is at 3.4 as compared to 3.5% earlier. Core is at 2.5%. Do you see the US economy actually bringing down the Fed rate? And what is your brief opinion about the US stock market, especially technology stocks which have been beaten down post-IPO?
Yes, Arjun, they are in a great quagmire of the tariffs and the CPI inflation and overall core inflation and the growth, because their growth is stagnated at around 2%. Their inflation remains sticky at the higher level at 3.4, 3.5. Only 1.1% is deceleration. That is not making any sense. So now they are again thinking about increasing the tariffs to many countries. So I believe they'll not be able to address the macroeconomic fundamentals as inflation is significantly higher than their tolerance level. 2% and 3.4%, huge difference between the tolerance and the actual inflation. So I don't see that U.S. economy is going to recover in the coming future, near future. Yeah.
Now look at the oil market news leading to inflation all across the globe. Global crude oil prices declined today as investors assess prospects for a weaker global demand this year and higher U.S. crude stocks. Brent crude was trading 1.8% down at $87 and 41 cents per barrel in intraday trade. WTI crude was trading 1.9% down at $81 and 65 cents per barrel when reports last came in. Meanwhile, the U.S. commercial crude oil inventories increased by 17.4 million barrels to 424.4 million barrels in the week ended on 7th of August, according to data released by the Energy Information Administration. This marked the biggest weekly increase in oil inventories since January 2023. It's very interesting, the news this time round, with marginal fall in global crude oil prices, but the inventories, for instance, in the US has gone up to 424 million barrels, and the monthly consumption of crude oil in the August monthly report has also come down by only 1.6 million barrels as compared to July, 510 million barrels. But do you see this continuing? Briefly.
Yes, Arjun, people are expecting some correction in the crude oil prices. That's why they are not in a much buying spree. So that's the prices are not remain volatile, but no significant deceleration or upside is observed, and I believe the prices will remain at the same level.
जी, और चलते हैं सराफा बाजार का हाल जान लेते हैं। सराफा बाजार में 24 कैरेट सोने का मूल्य 0.2% गिरकर 1,53,071 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम पर चल रहा था और चांदी 1.2% की गिरावट के साथ 2,34,228 रुपए प्रति किलोग्राम पर थी। और चलते हैं कार्यक्रम की समाप्ति की ओर। डॉक्टर शर्मा, इस कार्यक्रम में भाग लेने और मुख्य खबरों पर महत्वपूर्ण चर्चा के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
जी शुक्रिया, thank you.
And before we close, a reminder of the headlines. Benchmark domestic stock market indices end on a mixed note. Sensex gains over 100 points. Nifty settles below 24,400. Parliament passes the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2026 to create a uniform and balanced fiscal framework for the mineral sector, and global crude oil prices fall. And that's it in this edition of Market Mantra. For now, goodbye.
इस कार्यक्रम में विशेषज्ञों द्वारा विचार उनके अपने हैं। आकाशवाणी अपने श्रोताओं को सलाह देता है कि निवेश का निर्णय करने से पहले स्वयं रिसर्च करें या किसी पंजीकृत सलाहकार से राय लें।